Hello and welcome to Your Employment Matters. I'm Beverly Williams and I'm here to help you navigate your career. This is for anyone who's searching for their dream job or promotion, or perhaps you're just looking to hang on to the job you have. Today's work environments are multi-generational, multi-religious, multinational, multiracial, and multi-gender identity. Add market disruptors like Amazon and Lyft, along with the addition of AI, and it's easy to see why finding and keeping a job is such a challenge. Employment success and even employment survival depend on your ability to adapt. That's why my goal for this 30-minute podcast is to first advocate embracing change and differences, and second, to encourage you to proactively assume responsibility for your career. Get your work week off to a good start by listening to Your Employment Matters every Monday. Find out how to own your career and get the best practices for making your employment matter. My podcast provides employment and career information for listeners to consider if they're looking for a job or if they're seeking promotion. I try to provide useful information in furtherance of assisting employees and prospective employees on their employment journey. I don't provide legal advice. My guests don't provide legal advice or medical advice. So if you have need for either a legal professional or a medical professional, please contact professional organizations, the ABA or the medical association in your area. So having said that, my guest today is Andy Langberg. In the interest of full disclosure, I've never met Andy, but I spoke to him yesterday on the recommendation from a mutual friend of ours. Now, this mutual friend has introduced me to a number of people with different backgrounds and very interesting employment journeys. Yeah, I guess that's right. And Andy is no exception. So after we talked, I thought to myself, my listeners need to hear Andy's perspective because, especially in today's world with such high unemployment and the new numbers are out and it's distressing, people need to think creatively and collaboratively. With your family, with your friends, what can you do together if that's a possibility, or what can you do on your own? Andy, welcome, and thank you for joining me today.
Oh, thanks so much for having me on.
So now, why don't you tell us a little about yourself? Because as I said, listeners, I just met Andy yesterday, and we didn't talk for more than half hour, 45 minutes. So I didn't get the deep dive on Andy's background. So tell us about yourself.
Well, we'll start that after I graduated from college with a degree in biomechanics and exercise science. I fell into this crazy world of personal training back in the very early 90s. And at the time, there really were no personal trainers. It was really a really new field. I remember telling my mother, I'm going to do this thing called personal training. And she said to me, so you're going to teach people how to exercise and you get paid for it? Is that really a business? And I said, you know what? I'm gonna try and make it a business. And it actually took off and exploded. And I probably 10 years later, I was earning a really, really great six-figure salary and wearing shorts and t-shirts to work every day. And I got every certification under the sun and just built my business through complete word of mouth. I was always into the health fitness world, and I kind of suffering from lots of aches and pains because of all the training I used to do and the weightlifting and the bike riding and the running and all the things I was trying to do to keep me healthy ended up sometimes hurting me. And I fell down this rabbit hole into trying to solve my own aches and pains. And I came across a few things that I thought were interesting, studied from a few different people, and realized that, well, one, I'm a skeptic and I don't really believe a lot of things until I kind of try them for myself. And I decided to go down this hole of breaking down other people's work, and it led me onto a whole bunch of things that I discovered myself, and I realized I was onto something really big. So I ended up opening my own, I guess you would call it, energy healing business, and that was 18 years ago. I've been doing it ever since, and it's really taken me all over the world, and it's been quite a journey, as you say. It's been certainly a fascinating ride.
Now, did you say energy healing?
So again, everything that I've done, I've kind of had to make it up as I go along because there's really no vocation, there's no business necessarily of transferring energy between my body and someone else's. And again, we're not even sure if that's actually happening or how it's happening. I shouldn't say I'm sure it's happening. We don't know and can't scientifically prove it, except for the fact that I get results. I'm a results based business. So if I don't get anybody better, then my business does not grow.
So, as I asked you yesterday when we talked, yours is a holistic approach to healing.
That's probably accurate to say, yes. I look at the body as a whole, and I'm trying to get a body in the best vibrational position to heal itself.
I think you said earlier that you get your clients through word of mouth.
Correct. 99%. 99% of my I probably get one person a year who happens to come across me Googling random healing things and finds my website.
Yeah, tell us where your website.
My website is www.reactivateme.com. I needed a name for this kind of work. I didn't want to make this work about me and that it's the Andy Langberg technique and Andy Langberg is the healer. I can teach this work. So that was part of my development is that, okay, I'm onto something really big, but can I duplicate it? And can I get this to the masses? And I started teaching in 2006. That's, again, been another journey in itself in the Reactivation Institute, the school I opened up.
Now, about your
Yeah, anyway, I
clients.
had to come up with a name. So I just was in the shower one day and thought, yeah, you know what? Reactivation sounds great.
Yeah, it's catchy. Tell us
Yeah.
about your clients and what you do for them. I'm assuming that with each client, it's different. If I came to you with a back issue, what do you do?
I do the same thing as if maybe you came to me with a foot issue or migraine headaches.
Okay.
This is where, again, things get a little interesting is that I, by law, can't say I can correct and sort of fix back pain.
Okay.
That's something I can't say, and I won't say it. But I know that when I get bodies to work, people's back pain tends to resolve itself and go away. And sometimes it can happen in an hour. That's the gist in a way of I'm going to say, I'm going to get your body to work, energetically speaking. And when I do, you're going to heal. And then we work for an hour. I do my thing, and then we see what happens. And luckily, 18 years later, I think I've proven myself that it definitely works.
Obviously, you're doing something right. Our mutual friend swears by you. It's like the old, is it nursery rhyme or, the thigh bones connected to the hip bone, that this bone connected to the backbone. Plus, with the bones, you also have the mind. There has to be some mental or emotional connection to what you do too, isn't there?
The first thing I like to tell people is that my work is not faith healing. I don't care if you're a believer or not. Skeptics do very, very well on my table. I just had somebody recently who was having burning down his leg with severe herniated disc pain. And we did our hour, and he got up and said, You know what? I actually think I feel a little better. And 3 days later, he calls me and said, I got to tell you, I laid there on your table and I thought this is the craziest, weirdest thing I've ever done in my life. I can't believe how this is going to help me. And his pain was completely gone. And now he's referred. So again, here's what we can talk about the business aspect of it. He's already sent me 3 referrals in the last 4 days. And hopefully we get some good results with them. And then they go tell 3 or 4 of their friends and family members. So I don't like to say each client is different. I never know what I'm going to see. And I do everything I can to what I think is the most important to get that person feeling their best.
I started down one path and then I went down another path. Why don't you tell us about your clients and what their issues have been? Why don't you pick 3 clients? Tell us generically about their situation.
Yeah. Well, so I probably have about 35,000 clients.
Okay.
And my clientele is a little different. Like I sort of have a very bad business model, which is I want to get you better, and I don't want to see you anymore. You know, how many times you hear someone say, I want your business, but I only want it once or twice. You know, again, I want to get you better, and then I know if I get you better quickly, you're going to go tell lots of people, and then my business keeps growing.
Exactly. How you built your business, how you built
Yeah.
what you do. I mean, how you built your business model. How did you create your business model?
Wait, let's go back to the one right before that. If people want to hear a little bit about the client, like my clients, I actually did a TEDx talk. It was something that I was asked to do, and I did my demonstration, and I was chosen out of about 300 people, and it was a really fascinating experience. In that talk, I actually give two client stories of how they came to me with all kinds of problems, from a professional tennis player who was at the time, top 10 in the world, and he walked off a court and couldn't play with a severe hip injury. And he heard about me through his manager, and that person kind of sent him to New York from Cincinnati, and he came to me on a Friday night. We did our thing, and by Sunday he was playing without pain, and he got to I think the semifinals that year of the U.S. Open, and brought his ranking up to number 4 in the world.
Wow.
And again, he was going to default. He was not going to play the tournament. He was in that much pain. And, again, sometimes I always tell people, sometimes I get lucky. In 1 hour with him, we got lucky. Now, as a professional athlete, his body needs to work. He got worked on more frequently than maybe somebody else who just has a mild issue that can resolve quickly. Every client I have my clients range from newborns to 95 years old.
Wow.
I have thousands of professional athletes, high school athletes, college athletes, Olympic athletes. I have grandmothers and office workers, CEOs and doctors. I have 10-year-olds who already have headaches, and someone, who has lots of neck pains and knee pains. Like, I don't really care what people come to me for. It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't change a thing. Let's just get the body to work. It's a non-invasive, simple, like comfortable technique. You lay on a table fully clothed. I don't crack. I don't manipulate. I don't have to deep tissue. Nothing has to hurt. I do my thing to change vibrational patterns and change energy. And when I do, people can feel an instant result. That I know for sure.
Tell us about your business model. I know it's referrals, but when you realized what you could do based on your experience as a personal trainer and your experience working on the body, you didn't just wake up one day saying, okay, I'm going to parlay this into an 18-year business. This is over 18 year, and I'm going to make money. I'm going to be successful. I mean, you had to have a level of self-confidence, belief in your ability to do what it was that you thought you could do. I mean, how do you go from personal trainer to where you are now?
I started in the personal training world, and I built up a really amazing clientele. And I always said I treated my clients, everyone got my full attention, my full energy for that hour. And I had a really, really wonderful reputation in the North Jersey area where I am of personal training. And I had a waiting list. I ended up having 6 trainers working for me at the time. And at the time when I started developing this, I wasn't quite ready to just quit the training. I had a newborn. I was a new dad when this was all going on. I was trying to, I obviously had to pay the bills. So I didn't just quit my day job and start something new. I thought that, that's to me, I wasn't ready to take that risk. So I slowly transitioned where I realized, okay, you know what? I'm charging $80 an hour as a personal trainer, and I'm charging, $200 to $300 an hour as this healer. I would do my 5 or 6 personal trainings, and I would do 1 or 2 of my reactivation sessions.
Hmm.
And then little by little, I was saying, wow, if I do 2 reactivation sessions, that basically covers what I would normally do in a whole day of personal training. I slowly transitioned into doing half and half. And then it got to the point where I was like, why am I even doing these training anymore? I really don't love it anymore. I'm really, really enjoying this journey I'm on with this healing business. And let's just blossom into that fully. And honestly, at the beginning, even if I only saw 3 clients a day, it still made more money than as a personal trainer, and I got to spend a ton of time at home with my son.
Yeah.
So it was a pretty kind of seamless transition of going from one to the other. But I would never just quit my job and say, okay, I'm ready to do this work and hang a shingle and say, here, I'm doing this work that no one knows about, no one understands, no one has ever heard of it. It sounds so crazy and far fetched, and I still have to pay my mortgage. That wasn't going to work.
What about the logistics of starting a business? Did you know what to do? I mean, did you seek legal advice?
You know what? Yeah, that's a great question. Thankfully, I have a wonderful, wonderful attorney. I can give him a plug, Stephen Gursky. I mean, just a terrific attorney who saved me in my personal training business because I had a deal. I opened a business with a group of doctors, and there's always sort of this silly stereotype about doing business with doctors. And you know what? For me, the whole thing, the business was really falling apart. The side of owning a gym together. Thankfully, he wrote me a wonderful contract that I was able to get out of that and leave that kind of freely. And then he helped me write the forms I needed and get me with an LLC and basically set up my business legally. I spent the money early, and honestly, it's been wonderful ever since. Again, did I make mistakes at the beginning? Of course, I made mistakes. Did I have to pay the price a little bit? Yes, of course, I had to pay the price. But I learned a lot from the beginning, and I think that really set me up for a smoother future.
So, if you had to give someone about to or considering beginning their own business, starting a business, whatever, a service delivery business, what steps would you suggest they take before they even open the door to accept business?
I can't really say necessarily I'm this business expert. Luckily I've surrounded myself with really quality people, and that's the best advice I could give anybody. Is the network is key, and getting people who really have been there, done that, people who are much smarter than I am. And, I know the body. I can tell you every muscle, bone. I can tell you how the body works. I can tell you more about quantum physics and energy and vibration. But understanding how an LLC works or how you need to protect yourself, I would have no clue. And again, I was very lucky that I always said in my business, I treated everyone with the utmost respect and tried to give them the best service possible. And in return, they kind of took care of me. I was a young 20-something-year-old kid, and I had a lot of really big CEOs and doctors and lawyers as clients in my personal training world. And those people really, to this day, I can call 10 people easily, and they would take my call right away if I had business questions. Right away. It still happens to this day where I can make a phone call to somebody who is very successful in their world and say, hey, what do you think? I want to do this business with a bunch of partners, and they want to do this and this and this. What do you think? What do I need to look out for? What are my next steps? And they have been amazing. Again, going into this without that kind of network behind me, I would have failed a million times over. So again, to me, it's all about the network and the support staff I have, people who know more than me and can help me and predict all the things that I never would have been able to predict.
What about family? Did you think of involving your family in it at all?
Did I involve? No, no.
So, in essence, you have to know who to ask.
Well, you know what? Yeah, I take that back because you know what I do. I have a cousin who's a very, very successful person, and when I've had a number of different deals in the past that have some have fallen through, some have been great. I mean, I was offered a chance to open a business in a hospital and bring my work to an entire community and have a hospital license my work.
Wow.
I don't know the first thing about licensing. I don't know the first thing about doing business with the hospital. I had so many people help me. I had doctors, I had the heads of mergers and acquisitions and deal making for a major Wall Street company. He helped me write the business plan, which was accepted easily. I looked at the numbers that he was coming up that they were going to pay me, and I was like, wow, I couldn't ask for that. There's no way they're going to take it. And he explained to me how the formulas worked, and he did it all for me.
Wow.
And I brought it to the hospital board, and it was approved by everybody.
Wow.
It was
Did you go
I did
through? Did
I
you go through?
no, it actually fell through because no one saw this coming. The hospital happened to be a Catholic hospital, and the Monsignor saw my work, and thought this doesn't go with my religious beliefs and the beliefs of this hospital, and the Monsignor blocked the deal.
Uh,
which was a complete shock for everybody. The doctors, the head of the hospital board, my team, everybody was like, really? Are you kidding me? But it was just shut down immediately. So it never happened. But it was a fascinating, amazing learning experience. And it showed me that it certainly is possible to bring this to my crazy work to the medical world. And I mean, the Catholic Church didn't want to have anything to do with any kind of energy healing. Like I said, I mean, I've learned a lot of lessons. I've had a lot of ups and downs. It's been an amazing journey. I've been flown all over the world. I have amazing clientele who have given me amazing experiences. I've worked seasons on the sidelines at Giant Stadium and run through the tunnel with the team and been handed a game ball because my player did really well. I've been called out of the stands in a basketball games because someone needed help in the middle of a game. I had to run to the locker room and everyone was looking at me like I was important. It's been a fascinating journey.
Apparently, you are.
Yeah, I mean, today I have it at 3:30 and 4:30. I have a high school soccer player, and I have her grandmother who has horrible arthritis. I mean, my clientele I've never met them before. I'm looking forward to it. I have fascinating people every day.
Well, now, okay, we've talked about an attorney. What about an accountant?
Accounting is key. Yes, having an accountant, a good one, of course. I mean, that's somebody I've had the same accountant forever, and I trust him, and I've called him numerous times with questions again, and yeah, I mean, having a team, and again, it all comes from recommendations to me. It's the same thing like the word of mouth to me. People who I trust, like you heard about me through our mutual friend now, and you called me because you trust him. He's an amazing human being, and when he gives you a referral, you know it's for real. I was given a referral 25 years ago about an accountant, and I've been using him for 25 years.
You've been very fortunate. You've been very fortunate because we've heard horror stories about business manager. Do you have a business manager?
I do not. My business manager again. So there are certainly horror stories out there, and I always say, the horror stories happen because people lose control over things. I have students that have taken my class and I've been super nice and said, you know what, you can pay me, when the class is over. I know times are a little tough right now, and you give me a little bit up front, and then you pay me each month as the class goes on. And my class was 7 months long, and here I am 3 years later, and I'm owed tens of thousands of dollars from a couple students who haven't paid me, and that's terrible. It's
You know what they say about karma.
well, I understand that, and again, I don't wish people ill, but you know what?
No, you can't repay a kindness that way.
Yeah.
If you do, good will come of it.
So I listen. They all of those people have signed contracts. I very easily could go bring my attorney into this and start sending letters and take someone's house. I don't need to do that. I think there's good people in this world and there's maybe not so good people in this world. My wife is one of those people that, looks at things more skeptically, or people more skeptically than I do. I usually see the good in everybody. She likes to think that, that even though they're good now, they may come back and hurt you later. And, she's been always on my case to make sure that contracts are signed, and I shouldn't always trust everybody, because people don't always do the right thing. People are in this, money brings out pretty bad things in people sometimes.
Your wife is right.
100%.
You know that. But you're
Oh,
willing to take the risk.
well, yes, I've taken a risk. I've certainly taken I've taken a number of risks, and I still think eventually it's okay. It'll all work itself out. But yes, have I been burned a few times? Of course I have.
So
Absolutely.
manage your business. If you don't have a business manager, you handle it yourself.
I do it 100% myself.
Yeah. I think that's the best way. If you can do it yourself, then you know what's there. You know what needs to be done. You know what isn't being done. And if you forget to do something or overlook something, somebody will let you know. The lights will go off.
Without a doubt. With that,
Oh,
Beverly, I've always said, here's something to keep in mind too from the business perspective. This is so fascinating to me, by the way, because I've never really done any kind of talks about how my work works on the business side of it. Everyone always wants to know what the heck I do, and any talk I've ever given has always been about trying to explain how I can touch someone and make their leg pain go away. This is always fascinating to me about the business end of it. I do appreciate this.
Let me just say this, and then you just take it and run. As I said before, there are so many people out there who may be underemployed or unemployed or may become unemployed down the road. And we need to start thinking about ways that we can sustain ourselves and our families without relying on the 9 to 5 job that we may have, because we don't have control over that
Mm-hmm.
and things happen. So if we can come together, either family, friends, or as solos, and come up with something, a service or some business as entrepreneurs, then we can try to shore up our resources, our financial resources, and not be so stressed out about the next day, tomorrow, next week. What's going to happen with the economy? The economy may affect even our new business, but if we've got multiple revenue streams, we'll be better off. And as entrepreneurs, we can create multiple income streams for ourselves.
Absolutely.
Like you've
Absolutely.
been. So go ahead. I'm sorry. But I wanted to
No,
get that.
like I was just saying that I know myself. Like I know my strengths and I know my weaknesses. Math and accounting and numbers and looking at the huge picture of things maybe in business is not my strength. With the work I have, do I think that I could have offices, reactivation clinics all over the country? I could have had that 10 years ago if I wanted to go that route. As a personal trainer, when I opened up a gym and I had all these trainers working for me and I had a business deal with these doctors, I spent so much time staring at computer screens and looking at numbers and looking at payrolls and payroll taxes and health insurance and dealing with trainers and their like HR issues and a guy selling supplements out of his car out in the parking lot of my office and all the different things I had to deal with. And I was like, you know what? I hate this. I actually like working one on one with people and training. So I learned a lot about myself, like what I liked and what I didn't like. When I opened this business, could I have 10 reactivation masters or therapists working with me and have a bunch of different clinics, all over? And I don't want to do it. I don't want to deal with everyone else's problems. I want to deal with my clients. I want to deal with my business. And I made a choice to keep this somewhat smaller and keep this easily wrapped around my finger versus spending a lot of my day dealing with the actual business stuff that overwhelms me. I can handle my own business. I can handle my QuickBooks and I can handle calling my clients and dealing with my stuff. But once it starts doing it with 10 employees, you know what? It's a choice I made early on that the only way that's happening is if I have a partner who wants to handle that. I want to be in research and development. I want to be in hands-on. I want to be with one-on-one with clientele. I don't want to handle the big business ends of it. So there's a reason why I keep my business the way it is, and it's really just me. I do have students all over the place, but they do their own thing and they keep their money. They pay me a fee for the class and then they're free to keep 100%. It's not a franchise. I don't take a 10% of their business. I don't care. Good luck. I'll help you any way I can to make you most successful you want to be, but I'm doing my own thing. And that's just because I know myself. I knew I wasn't going to get overwhelmed. Now, I do have a couple deals on the table right now with different people who do see the bigger picture and want to take this across the country, and they have all came to me and they're people that I trust now and I'm working with and talking with, and I would let them handle, I've watched enough maybe Shark Tank episodes to understand that, I'm willing to give up 10-20% of my business for a much bigger number and for the chance to make this really, really grow and get this to the masses.
No, I don't understand. What is it? Wouldn't be a licensing situation or a
Well,
franchise
it
situation.
would
What?
be, yeah. But I don't want to be I don't want to be the guy who sits and has to
Oh,
do all the franchise work. That's my point.
oh, you just want an interest in it.
I'm going to teach. Someone's got to teach all the people how to do it.
Oh,
So
I see.
someone's got to go day to day and make sure that the students and the new instructors are all doing their work.
Okay, so you would have an ownership interest in it?
I'm not giving up a large percent of my business yet. I mean, again, if someone wants to handle and make a lot of money bringing this to the masses and has a really good understanding of franchises and opening number of offices, and I have these people. I have a group that I've talked to. Unfortunately, again, COVID and this shutdown and pandemic has put a pause on it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But that's okay. It'll still be there when we come out of this, hopefully soon. But again, I know myself. I know what I want.
Well, won't the business you're describing be in direct competition with your piece of the pie, your personal business?
Well, no, because I don't have a location in Los Angeles or Dallas or St. Louis.
All right,
So if
I
we
got.
if we open facilities all over the place, we need to find the students in each. I need to find someone I can teach, and they've already came up. They already found me the first person for the first location,
Okay.
and we were all set to kind of move forward with this all, and this all kind of hit. We were in major talks last January. And again, my wife is in on those talks because she knows that she hears other things or hears things differently than I do.
Yes, I
So
like your wife is the one that knows that people are not always as they should.
absolutely. So she's got my best interest and is in on all of these meetings. She was when I was dealing with the hospital. She was in on every single meeting.
I think your
Again,
wife and I are on the same page.
well, listen, I'm the nice guy, and she's more of understanding. Like again, she doesn't always trust everybody, and she's got my best interests from a different perspective. And we took all of this information and we went into meetings with my lawyer, and I called a number of my again, I don't have a business manager. I have 15 very successful business people that I can call, explain to them what's going on, and get their viewpoint.
You're lucky.
Well, there's a lot of really great people out there. There's some great network of people that I can call, and I think that that's something. If you some advice again, if people are going into a business, is to find these people. I think lots of people love to give their advice and help younger people or people who are looking to start something new. I would certainly take a phone call and help somebody who was looking to go into kind of a health-based business. And I've been down that road now for over 30 years.
Now, what about insurance? That's another thing you have to have.
Absolutely. So I have insurance. The New Jersey now has a license. You need to have a license to touch people in the state of New Jersey.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So, okay.
So there's a new license that you have to go and again, one of those things that you needed for New Jersey, you need a massage therapy and bodywork license. You know what it costs to get that license? You have to go to massage therapy school. That's the only way you can get the license. You know what massage therapy school could cost?
What?
20 to 25,000,
Really?
and you have to go full time for 5 to 6 months, or you can go part time, and it's Monday through Thursday, 6 to 10 at night for a year. I can't do that. I have a business. Luckily, again, I asked around my network. I found a wonderful woman who owns a massage therapy school. She has her ways of teaching. She was just in my office. She's an amazing person. The JSG School of Massage. She teaches you Monday and Tuesday nights from 5:30 to 9:30 for 10 weeks, and she's 1/5 the price. And
Oh,
we're
so you
still
don't have to
so
go.
I
You
did
don't
not
have
go. No.
to the school that the state identifies.
Well, she is state. She's on the board. She's identified by the state, but she's not one of these big schools. She does it on the side. She takes on 10
Oh, okay.
people privately, and she'll bring you on, and she makes you do a lot of the work at home, so you don't have to go be in the school the whole time. She only takes some advanced people, which I could teach those classes. Do I need to learn anatomy and physiology in her class? I could teach that. Do I actually really want to do massage on people? I have no interest whatsoever in pulling out oils and sheets and massaging people. My wife wants that. I'll give her the massage, but nobody else. I don't want to do that. But she agreed to have me in the class, and I got it done. And I passed my test with ease, and it was simple. So now I have the license. With that license and the State Board of Massage Therapy, I'm allowed to get even cheaper insurance. I've always had insurance, but I've had even cheaper, like through the massage therapy state license.
Okay. So now the tips that you would give anybody who wanted to start a business, either like yours or just become an entrepreneur. The first thing you would recommend is that they identify or create a network of advisors.
Well, first thing is don't quit your day job yet.
Oh, well, that's yes. Thank
Because
you.
I
Don't.
know a lot of people who just like to just say, I'm good. I'm going to just start this up and I'm leaving my job. And unless you're independently wealthy or have a, somebody who's paying your bills, or you can move back home with your parents or something, like you got to bring in income. And unfortunately, it's the world we live in. You got to pay your bills. So a lot of things, a lot of businesses can start out as a bit of a hobby and see where it leads. That's how I look at it. So first thing I tell people is make sure you still have income and do your work kind of in addition to. Sometimes you got to grind. Sometimes, I would leave my house at 5:30 in the morning and I wouldn't get home until 10 at night. And I did it 6 days a week, 5 days a week like that, and a half a day Saturday. I did that for 10 to 12 years because I had to go and do personal training. I saw one reactivation session in the morning. Then I saw personal training sessions in the afternoon. Then I saw another reactivation session after dinner. Then I went back and saw 2 or 3 more clients after dinner for personal training. Again, I had a mortgage and a new kid.
Yeah,
I had to pay the bills. It's not North Jersey is expensive. Rent is crazy.
it is. That, and I advise people, don't quit your job until you have one. Don't
Yeah,
get angry and just say, "Oh, I don't need this. I'm I'm going to leave." And don't threaten to resign if you are not willing to do it. Because if you threaten and you don't do it, they'll show you the door later on. You've got to be
yeah,
careful, got to be strategic.
yeah, absolutely. And again, never burn bridges as much as you can help it. I mean,
Absolutely.
there's times where you may have to, but for the most part, these are all amazing lessons, and this is kind of the things I'm teaching my son. My son is a high school junior, and he wants to play college soccer, and all the lessons that I give him, you could use in business. The networking, you never know who's watching you. You never know
Exactly.
who you're talking to. My son played a silly little tournament. He's a goalkeeper. He played in Hoboken, New Jersey, a 5-on-5, not even a full size field, goofing around. And he was scouted by one of the best clubs in the country. One of the happened, their scout was there watching, and called me and said, "I saw your son play, and would he come to our club?" And I was like, "Wow, that's unbelievable." And he went and he didn't make the club. He was cut, and he went back to another one. And they've always kept an eye on him. And now he's playing for that club, and it's one of the
Wow.
best in the United States. And
Now
you know,
that's a wonderful story. I hope listeners you're picking up on this. This
yeah, I
is
mean,
another we didn't expect.
you never ever know. And that scout and I have become friends. And he has asked me. I've been at soccer tournaments, and he'll say, I can't make it today. There's a number 10 on that blue team that's playing on field 12 at 12 o'clock. Would you go, and your son? I trust you guys' opinions. You guys know soccer. Would you go and watch him and tell me if you think he's good enough for our team? And my son and I were sitting there, and one of my son's friends, and we're watching this game, and this kid is playing, and he has no idea that his entire future of soccer is depending on me, my son, and his best friend.
Hey,
And
but you're
I report back, and I said, listen, I thought that he was sloppy. He didn't really give a full effort. I thought he didn't pass the ball when he should have. He argued with the ref a little too much. No, he's not this club material. And you know what? That kid never got it. He never got a call in. And he had no idea that he was being watched in the corner by some parent.
no, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And people don't realize that how they conduct themselves, especially in public, but even when they think it's in private, that no one is paying attention or that it's between them and the person they're having the exchange with. People, there's especially now with phones all over the place,
Oh my
people
God, someone's always filming you, huh? Oh yeah.
are always on someone.
My son and I have that conversation all the time. When you do anything at a party, with your friend's house, anything you do can be taped and used against you.
Assume it's going to be on the internet.
Absolutely.
If whatever you're doing, and that's really a heavy burden To think that you're always being watched, but that's the environment we live in.
Yeah, yeah. So I wanted to also mention that the way I built my business, from whether it was personal training or reactivation, that, and I tell every student of mine, we spend a day in our class when I do my teaching about how to set up your business and how to open up your business wherever you are in the country. And one major thing, this has been the thing that changed my life more than anything, is I've always treated every single client like they were $1 million athlete. The $1 million athletes that come into my office fairly regularly aren't always the most gracious in a weird way. They're much harder to work on because their schedules. They're always late. They're always want more of my time. But you know what? At the end of the day, I don't care if it's this high school soccer player or the grandma that's coming in. They are going to be treated like they are making $20 million a year playing for the Yankees. That's how I
Well,
treat every single one. And sometimes, again, you never know that I have a number of really, say, famous athletes, and they have never ever given me a referral, ever. It's their little secret, and they don't want to tell anybody. I
oh
had a
yeah.
man come to me. I'll never forget. I had a man come to me who had a lovely phone voice. He was such a nice man on the phone. He came in, and I, honest to God, I would have thought that he had been homeless for the last 6 months. He was wearing the most tattered clothes. His hair, it looked like he hadn't showered in weeks.
Oh
It
God.
looked like I mean, he was wearing like ripped up Crocs, and he spoke so beautifully. I love to tell the story. And he brought his lady friend, as he called her, who was wearing stuff that you would get maybe at a Goodwill store,
Oh
and
God.
she had like a fake gold tooth, and it
Oh
was just
no.
they were a fascinating couple. And then when it came down to, he had to pay the bill, he reached in his pocket and he pulled out. He must have had $10,000 in $100 bills in his pocket. And it turns out, so when they left, I mean, he paid his bill, and he has referred me probably 50 people. And I asked one of those people, what is the deal with this man? And he said, he speaks 6 languages. He's traveled the world by motorcycle. He owns one of the largest moving companies on the East Coast, and works for like the Rockefellers and all the famous families, moving their artwork and their pianos and I said, you got to be kidding me. He goes, oh yeah, that's just how he dresses. And you know what? I treated him just the way I would treat any $1 million athlete. I don't care what he's wearing. He got an amazing session. He felt great. He told tons of people, and I thought the man was fabulous. So that's that stupid cliche of never judge a book. You know what? It's the
Exactly.
same thing in business. You never
Exactly.
ever know who that person's going to be who goes and says, "Oh my gosh, I found the greatest restaurant. Oh my God, this guy who's worked with me so much is such a great guy. You have a business opening. You know what? I bet I know somebody that
Yeah.
may fit this bill." I've gotten lots of people jobs. Lots of people.
I try to treat people the way I want to be treated. I
Yeah.
try to be, I treat people with respect until they give me a reason not to.
Can I
And
tell you?
even
Yeah. I'm sorry.
even
Go ahead.
then I away. Even then I walk away because I realize that everyone is not as kind as they should be.
Listen, Beverly, I have a woman who, well, I shouldn't say a woman. Her husband was looking for a job. He's been out of work for a while. The company that he was working for stopped paying him because they had some financial problems, and he didn't get his paychecks for the last 6 months. And he's a father with a family and a mouth to feed, and bills to pay. And he was out of work for a while. He was doing any odd job he could. And you know what? I thought this guy was a really great worker. He was a salesman. He was certainly personable. I've got to know his family. I thought he was terrific. His son played soccer with my son back in the day. Great guy. You know what? When a friend of mine called me and said, "Oh, I was just talking to his other mutual friend, and he's looking to hire a salesman. I thought I had somebody for him, but I don't." I said, "You know what? I know somebody," and I connected them, and he got a job. He got hired, and it was terrific for him. So, and then COVID hit, unfortunately, and things didn't go as well. But you know what? For a long time there, he was doing great. And
Yeah.
that's the thing. Like this guy didn't come to me saying, "Hey, do you know anybody that can help me?" And that other guy didn't say, "Hey, do you know anybody that I can hire?" He told a friend, and that person told a friend, and I made a connection.
That's how it
That's the
happens.
network. You never ever know, and you always put it out there, and you never know where it's going to lead.
And I keep telling people, especially young people, you know, Facebook and Twitter, all that helps, but you can't beat face to face connections. And in COVID, virtual connections will work until we can meet each other face to face live. But a lot of times, young people are more comfortable with social media. But I'm telling you, that's how people get jobs. Who knows who refers who owes a favor to who? You know what I mean? You just have to, and you have to present yourself in a way that makes people want to help you.
Absolutely.
You
Yeah.
can't be,
Again, I can't stress it enough. I can't stress enough.
you can't talk to people any kind of way, even if they're your parents and they don't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
You know, you see someone talking to their mother or their father disrespectfully, you don't want to refer that person to a for a job.
Absolutely.
Let at work. Who needs that?
Yeah, can I again? This is like the soccer story about me scouting a player. You had no idea. I have clients that come in, business owners that come in and tell me how they're struggling right now because they can't get good help. I need an office administrator. I need another. I'm in real estate. I need to hire somebody who can sell. I need this. And I people come in are talking to me and telling me all their stuff. I can go through my network in my head saying, do I know somebody? And you're absolutely right. If I know people who don't treat people respectfully, I'm not going to refer that person. That's a reflection on me.
No, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
And reputation, whether you call it reputation or personal branding, it's critical because the word goes out and you can rehabilitate your personal brand and your reputation, but you got to want to do it. You've got to know you need to do it, and you got to put in the work.
absolutely. Absolutely. There was one other thing I wanted to bring up that it was taught to me along, again, one of my clients as a personal trainer. I had a lot of CEO clients, and I had a guy who was helping me develop my work as this healer. And he actually helped me develop my work as a trainer too. And a piece of advice he gave me, it has always stuck with me. He said, when someone asks you, about yourself or what you do, you always want to give them an answer that makes them ask more questions.
Yes.
I thought that was such great advice. And like when I was a personal trainer, they said to me, so what do? You don't just say, oh, I'm a personal trainer, because what the hell's that? Like everybody can say that. You tell people, you know what do you do? I get bodies to be really strong and fit. Well, what does that mean? Well, then you give your elevator speech. When people ask me right now what I do, if I say I'm a reactivation specialist, no one's going to know what that is. That doesn't mean anything. I'm not giving myself a title. People say, what do you do? I say, I get bodies to work and get bodies to heal. Immediately that goes, first it says, oh, what are you, a chiropractor? What are you, a Reiki master? No, no, no. Well, then what is it? Well, and then I can go in my whole spiel, and it leads to a really, really interesting conversation.
Yeah. And you get a feel for the person you're talking to, they get a feel for you. And, there can be synergies
Yep.
and opportunities.
But when someone says like, "What do you do?" Like it's a funny question. You could say, instead of saying I'm a student, what do you do? I'm learning a lot in whatever field to take my life to a new place. What does that mean? Well, that means I'm studying engineering at Penn State. Whatever. Like instead of just saying I'm a student, it just something that makes the person go, let me ask some more about this. I want to know more.
And depending on the situation, sometimes I'll say I'm a human sponge. I'm soaking up everything around me because I need to learn so much. And they look at me like I'm crazy because listen, I wasn't born yesterday. And they look at me, what are you doing? And then I tell
Yeah.
them.
Well, that's a great thing to say. What do you do? Well, I learn from people. I'm a human sponge. That certainly makes me go, what do you mean by that? What does that mean?
Seriously, I'm like, look, and there was I made this pitch for this article, and by this very prominent online media outlet, And what they were looking for wasn't exactly what I do. Okay. And I thought about it and I thought to myself, you know what? It's not exactly on point, but they should be interested in what I'm doing because
Hmm.
this is what I'm doing is timely. I'm trying to help people with employment matters. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying? I'm trying to help them get through this rough patch with some additional skills and information that will help them be successful. And there's a lot of stress and anxiety associated with looking for work
absolutely.
and being unemployed. So I said, okay, why don't I just take a shot? So I work with in fact, I've done another podcast with her. She handles a holistic approach to stress and anxiety.
Hmm.
Okay, that's how I wanted to ask you what I asked you because I've talked to her on numerous occasions. And I asked her, I said, is it all right if I pitch this and include you? And she said, oh, yes, absolutely. So I did. And they came back with, we would love to consider you. Oh, please submit whatever it is you got. And we did. So we're waiting to hear. But if I had gone by the literal request for the pitch, I would never have responded.
Yeah,
And I'm thinking, well, look, I have nothing to lose. What are they going to say? Yes or no? I got a 50-50 shot. And in this economic environment with this high rate of unemployment, if they don't see the benefit, then I probably might not want to do business with them anyway.
yeah. Trust the universe in the
You
timing.
know,
Trust the timing. It wasn't meant to be.
but we're going to see. At least we're in it. We're in the conversation.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I can be persuasive. That they're not talking to me, but if they talk to other people, I think they'll see the benefit. But if they talk to me, I'm going to help them see the benefit
Yeah.
because I feel passionate about this. This is very distressing to me. I see people waiting to be called back to work, and that call's never coming for some people, for many people, because this virtual situation that we're in is working for companies. Their real estate footprint has been reduced, their overhead is being reduced. I don't know. I think, and for some employees, they like working remotely, some don't.
Yeah.
But it's going to be, I think, going forward, when we resume and the pandemic is in our rearview mirror, I think there are going to be substantive changes.
I think you're right. Again, you just have to adapt to the times. If you don't adapt, you get left behind. You have to.
But you have to anticipate the changes and
Yeah.
you have to keep your ear to the ground, and people don't do that.
So
They
so
don't.
yeah. No. So
Go
I
ahead.
was I was going to say that when this so I'm a hands-on office business, right? My job requires me in a way to put someone on my table and be right next to them and touch them and what did I have to do? So last March or February, I started wearing a mask and a face shield and gloves to work because my wife, knew that this was coming and she knew that this was airborne and it was so contagious. Her family's in Korea and they had it there first, so we knew. So she ordered way in advance. I had all the supplies, and when this
I like
happened, I
your wife. I like your.
me too. I like her too. Yeah. But she and listen, we have full hazmat suits in my house. My wife was so prepared. She ordered everything way in advance. And there's a food supply in my garage just in case. Like we knew. Like again, she just knew it was coming, and she said, "This is airborne. What's wrong with people? Why can't they admit that this is airborne?" In 200 people get this virus in a church in Korea. They don't touch each other. Koreans don't shake hands. They bow. This happened
Yeah,
because it went through the vents and everyone got it. Like all this argument at the very beginning when they're like, "Should we wear a mask?" And it's like, "Of course you should wear a mask and you should cover your eyes because it's going to get you through your eyes." Like she knew. So when they shut me down, I wasn't allowed to work. So I had to plan. I know I can do this work remotely. And now here's where things get crazy. I can do a session on someone in Australia from my bedroom. I don't need to touch. And I've always known I could do this. I've had amazing results. That tennis player who I worked on here in my office, would call me from wherever he is in the world, and I would make his, groin strain go away and fix his Achilles tendon, and those kind of like I would just get his body to work. So
So what is self-care? They do what you do themselves? You direct them?
no, so I can do my same exact session from my bedroom. I don't need to touch
Oh,
someone to get the results.
oh, okay.
Beverly, this is the craziest thing in the world. All right, now it already sounds crazy what I do, that I can do, and make things work energetically by touching, but I don't need to touch. That's the truth of the matter. So I can do this work from my house and make. So what I did, because a lot of people think I'm nuts, and I do have a lot of clients who have utilized my services remotely all over the world. But if I'm going to have to still pay my mortgage, then I need to bring in income. So I put it out there on social media that I will offer at a very reduced rate a session. And if it doesn't work, if you don't feel better, then don't pay me. And you know what? I started booming from working from my house, not even having to see a client.
That's great.
The money was coming in. And then we realized, you know what? I really miss seeing my clients though. I need to get back out there. So what am I going to do? So I can't go back to the office. They're not letting me in the office anymore. So my wonderful, really, really smart business advisors had told me to apply for my PPP loan, which I did. And I did get a check, and it did really help. And I used that money to build and double the size of my deck on the outside of my house. We bought a tent from Amazon, and we decorated the whole back deck, and clients were coming to my house from May and through October.
Wow.
And we built the business outside, and I would be out there in 95-degree weather changing my shirt every hour because the sweat was pouring off. My wife bought me a mask that blows cold air into my face. She would bring me cold drinks, and you know what? We made it work. And then when she bought a filter from Switzerland, it cost me I used that money. I bought $1,000 filter that filters 0.003 microns, corona, dust, pollen, anything, any kind of allergy. It will filter it, and it runs 24/7 in my office right now, so I can go back to work because it's too cold to be on my deck.
Yeah.
So you know what? We made it work. That's I mean,
That,
what else can I do? You plan and you think, and how am I gonna keep doing my career if I can't touch people? Well, we made it work. I wear gloves. I wear a face shield by law in the state of New Jersey. That's what I have to do.
and it
So
pays to have the heart you have.
yeah, yep,
Well, we've talked for an hour,
really,
over an hour.
wow.
Yeah. I
You know
tell you, time flies when you're having fun.
what? I'm not used to this kind of conversation. I don't really talk too much about the business except for when I teach my classes, where I do cover this as part of the program because I'm sending people out with the skill on how to help people heal. But that only goes so far because you want to build that word of mouth business, and here's all the tips that I know on how to do that. So I really appreciate you having me on. I appreciate this kind of conversation. Hopefully, we'll be able to
It
advise
was
and help
my
some people.
was my pleasure. Hopefully we'll meet live at some point.
You know how to find me. You come in, and we'll take care of you, and I guarantee you'll be amazed.
Thanks for listening to Your Employment Matters with Beverly Williams. If you found this podcast helpful, please subscribe and leave a review. I truly appreciate your support, and that helps other listeners find the podcast. If you have a comment, question, or suggestion, you can reach me at baWilliams@youremploymentmatters.com. My book, Get the Job Done, is available on Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com. Please join me again next week. Until then, remember to embrace change and differences.
This podcast is part of the Sound Advice FM network. Sound Advice FM, women's voices amplified.